Hello fellow crafters, my name is George and this is the Spartan G, and today we're gonna make a concept design for the heavy tank Bulldog. So this particular design is not mine actually. I have stumbled upon this one on the internet and I will link down below the source where I get this concept. So let's start the sculpting process by making the base. Now, I have decided to use this ice cream cap for the base making process, and as it is quite thin and not as sturdy and heavy for a base, of course, I need to cover it up with clay. First mission is to make it as heavy as possible, but the second, of course, is to have this kind of rough terrain texture. I have kind of decided to have Martian background, like if this tank is operating on the Mars, that's why it is reddish. And as you can see, I'm applying the red clay for the background, for the base as well, to kind of mimic the Martian ground. And it's very important to have these gray tidbits in there for the texture. Here you can see the wheels, and unfortunately you will spend a lot of time in making those, and because of the side skirts and the tracks, they are not going to be as visible as you would like after putting so much effort into them. And of course you will have to make 10 of those. Those are the as they are on the design, of course. That's why I have made 10 of them, and 4 additional wheels which are actually rolling and moving the tracks. And these 10 guys are simply rolling over the tracks, which makes the tank to move. This is the track design I have decided to make. It is not really important what kind of texture, what kind of style you are going to use. I just kind of was thinking about this particular curvier version and using this like black dots for the better detailing. But of course you can really go with any kind of design, maybe even use some kind of modern, maybe Abrams or Leopard 2 tank tracks and styles. It is very important to have it as long as possible. Make sure that you kind of think back on your hand that these tracks are going to go over the stroke wheels, and because of that the one side needs to be even longer than the actual tank hull is going to be. So I have made as long as possible, this track as long as possible, and here you can see the hull comparison to it as well. The hull is of course this big slab of clay. This is the middle portion, the middle section. Of course I will add tracks on the sides and some side skirts which will make the tank, overall tank, much wider. So make sure that you make nice measurements, at least at the back of your head, kind of not to screw up the overall proportions and not to make the tank extremely wide or maybe even extremely narrow. Here is the addition process. I have started it. I'm not going to cover the middle, the bottom part, as it's not going to be visible at all, so I will not waste my time and the clay. And those copper wires are simply for anchoring them onto the ground. As you can see here, the wheels will not support the weight of the clay chunk, so that's the sole reason of that. Here I have attached the tracks as well as the wheels, of course. And yeah, that's the whole reason I was talking about. And even if you imagine after the side skirts, they will not be visible at all. And here are the side skirts bases. I have simply attached the slab of clay onto the sides. It's not very important that it is touching the lower wheels, because they will be concealed after the tank hull is done. And yeah, right now you can see the overall proportions of the middle part of the hull, and kind of you can understand how it's going to end up looking. So that's the completion of the top portion of the layering process. The whole is pretty much done. The only thing which is left is to add these side skirts and finish little spaces on the sides, of course. And once you're done with that, you can really start applying detailing, and you can really use the Google reference photos for that. Here is the detailing process. The only thing which is left here in this stage is the back portion, but on the sides, on the front, I have pretty much finished everything. It is really very time consuming, to be honest, and do not underestimate the time you would put into them. Of course, it's not very necessary to kind of copy everything you see onto the model. It's just that I was very happy for this design and tried to copy as much as possible, only the details I liked, of course. Here is the turret model. It is really hard to make solely because of its irregular shape, and it is really hard to make the turret symmetric as well. So put some time into it to make it as smooth and as symmetrical as possible for you to have nice looking turret. As you can see here, I'm quite satisfied with the turret shape, how it turned out, and I have also used some kind of red clay in order to make up for the flaws, for the spaces where the clay was missing or I needed to kind of carve it out. And the gun, of course, I have made a little bit different than it is onto the actual model, and here is of course the actual finished detailing. The only thing I will attach to it is some kind of bags and wraps for the soldiers, which is carried at the back portion of the turret. And on the top you can better see all the details I have attached. Yeah, it is more like random. You can cram this space with other like spare blankets, as you can see on the sides for the soldiers to sleep. I mean the sleeping pads, if that's what they are called. And also there is the machine gun, of course. And here's the final version. I'm done with making this guy. The fact that I have tilted the turret at the side kind of indicates that the tank is in action. It's not like standing in some kind of a hangar and waiting for something or someone to get it rolling. Also, you can probably see the back portion of the turret has this kind of lines going down. These are supposed to be the chains, which are quite similar to the Merkava 4 main battle tank, which actually exists and is Israeli main battle tank. And I really liked this feature on the model, and also am a big fan for the Merkava 4. It really looks quite nice. It kind of resembles me the Predator mask with all these dreads, if that makes sense. And yeah, I wanted to make them, but unfortunately on this scale it is not very easy to have these chain details as you want to get. It will be easier if you kind of find some small chain, break it apart and attach to it, and then maybe paint it. But yeah, I think the thing we have and I can have is quite satisfactory for me, at least. And yeah, that was it. I hope you liked this project as much as I liked making it, and I love the look of it, the original design and my interpretation as well. I'm a big fanatic for modern warfare machines and tanks especially, and it was a big pleasure for me to sculpt this guy. Have a nice day and see you next time. Goodbye.